Hey, what's up? It's Jake from Nimbus DevOps, and I wanted to take some time to go over some things with Kubernetes pods before I move on to more technical things. So, just to make sure we're in the right place, I went ahead and just checked. I don't have any pods right now, and if I make this a little bit bigger, we can just see that I have just a one single node cluster up here with Minikube. And we're just going to run a couple tests to see if we can find what we're looking for given some scenarios. So the first one is, how many pods do you have? Well, kubectl get pods, and we see we don't have any. So let's say I want to make one. I'm going to make an nginx one. Kubectl run nginx image is nginx. And then now I should be able to see how many there are. I can see that there's one. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, we could create some more. Let's find out exactly what image this uses. So I'm going to pause it and make it, and then we can go look at it. Okay, so I went ahead and made a new pod. So we're going to do get pods again and see that we have now a web app with our nginx. And let's say I wanted to know what image does web app use. Well, the command you would use for that is kubectl describe pod web app. And then I can see here in the containers, we've got a web app, and it says image is JCloud Guru 2048, which is me, and that's where it found the image. So there's the image. Maybe we want to know what node are our pods running on. So for that, we do kubectl, and then we'd say get pods, and then we would do the wide option. And we can see here that they're both on the Minikube node. Okay, how many containers are running? You see the ready thing right here. Well, you can do, if you look at the first number, that's how many containers are running. And then the second number is the total number of containers. So if it said one of two, you'd have one running, but there's a total of two that are supposed to be there. So yeah, so that's what the numbers are. Let's say we want to know the state. Okay, so we can see the status here. And if I give it some weird, I'll show you how to edit it. Give it some weird image name, and let's break it. So we're gonna edit, because I don't have a file in here for this. So I can do two things. I can do kubectl edit pod web app, and it will pull up a VI or Vim or Notepad or whatever editor. If you're on a Linux terminal, it'll just pull up Vim, and you can come in here and edit it. And let's say I want to see here spec containers image. Let's change this to 2049. We'll save it, and I close this, and it exited. So now it's going to redeploy this, and if we get to the pod, we can see that there's an error image pull. So that's the status, and if you want to investigate why, you can do kubectl describe pod web app, and at the bottom you can see the events. Failed to pull image JCloud Guru 2049. RPC error. Unknown description. Error response from daemon. Pull access denied. Repository does not exist or may require Docker login. So either it can't get to it or it doesn't exist. And in this case, I know, because it's mine, that it doesn't exist. So last time, so we need to fix it. And last time we used the edit pod. The other option is you can do kubectl run, and then we'll do web app image equals jcloud guru /2048, and we're going to do a dry dash run equals client output YAML format to a pod definition file, pod definition .yaml. Oh, I accidentally have a little dash in there. All right. It's better if you do it into the file. Okay, so now we have this pod definition file, and I come in here and I can see all the details. And if this were 2049, we see it's 2048. If it was 2049, it'd be broken, right? So if I do kubectl get pods, it's in an error, crash back loop op. It's in an error state right now. So if we take this and we want to fix it, what we're getting into here is an imperative versus a declarative use of Kubernetes. So imperative, there are some things that are implied when we run the web app from the console in a terminal. We're imperatively provisioning infrastructure. Whereas if you put it in a file and apply it, you are declaratively provisioning infrastructure. So while you can use the kubectl edit pod web app in the console like this, and that's just fine, and we could come in here and I could just edit the image and that would work. But if you want to do it declaratively, which most people do, then you would put it in here and you would apply it, which is, in my last video, I told you don't worry about apply create. Well, this is where you would want to worry about that. And you'll get a warning. It says it's missing the last applied configuration, which is required by kubectl apply. It should only be used on resources created declaratively by either the create command with a save config flag or with kubectl apply. So what happens if we make a pod, kubectl run, and let's say we're going to make an Apache one with image equals Apache. Wait, hang on a second. You know what? I need to delete that real quick. Delete pod httpd. And the reason is because we need to put the save config flag on there. It's going to be like, make up your mind. So we're going to do save -config. So what does that do? It creates the file just fine, but it also saves the configuration. And then now, if I were to edit this and I wanted to do again, I'm going to make a file, dry run equals client, output YAML into, let's just call this httpd.yaml, and let's make ourselves a file. Now I have this file and I can edit it, and let's go ahead and change it. We'll break it, but get pods. Let's see what's broken. So you can see that I fixed the web app one. Now we're going to break the Nginx one. So I'm going to use the image httpds, and we'll just break it. And now I can run an apply command, kubectl apply the file httpd.yaml, and it's going to apply my new configuration, which has the incorrect image name. And what we should see from that is that this now has an error because it can't find that image when it's pulling it down from Docker Hub. So I can save it, and notice I didn't get the error because when I initially created it, I used the apply command instead of the create command or the run command, and I used the save config flag, so it has that configuration saved. So anyways, so if you see that command or that error, that's why. Everything's running, everything's fine. The other thing that you should know is you can delete multiple pods at the same time. So I could say kubectl delete pods httpd and nginx all at the same time. It's kind of like Docker in that way. So yeah, we've got our, let's see, we went over the ready, we went over the status, kind of saw that in there. We deleted some stuff, we made a new thing, we used these pod definition files. Now you'll see this is like pod, because the kind of this file, this resource is pod. This is often referred to as a pod definition file. We'll get into deployments and stuff later, but this is pretty much everything you need to know about pods as far as administration goes. So if you have any questions, let me know. As far as getting into connecting to pods and all that other stuff, we'll get into that later with networking. But I just wanted to go over all of the possible pod things that you could do before moving on. See you later.